Gotham Knights. This is the full spoiler review. I have a review on my blog, soundedbettermyhead.com. I kept a good chunk of the spoilers out of there. I ended up giving this season a 2.5 out of 5. The show actually finished kind of strong. Had so much going against it. They announced it. It's been a couple years since the show was originally announced. A lot of people assumed that it was tied somehow to there was an upcoming Gotham Knights video game at the time, where Batman dies and Nightwing and Robin and Red Hood and Batgirl got to step in and kind of find out what killed them and also basically protect Gotham. And then they announced a show, Gotham Knights, where also Batman dies. So I think a lot of people are like kind of excited to see those 4 characters, live action television on CW. Maybe it would tie into like the other Arrowverse stuff. So people were a little excited at first, and then they announced it was not taking place in the Arrowverse or any other known DC continuity, and it was just a bunch of nobodies. A couple made-for-TV characters, some way down the bottom of the ladder, Bat family members, and it just, even the first trailer looked mediocre as all hell. And this, I was considering not even bothering checking the show out, but I figured I'd give it a few episodes and see what I thought of it. I think a lot of people didn't even try. And not to mention the show was going into a volatile CW atmosphere where the shows were getting cut left and right because of the new owners. But when I watched this series finale, I actually kind of wanted to see where they went from there. I was actually like, let's see more of these characters. The plot really is basically, what they told you it was going to be in the beginning. Basically, Batman is killed. These kids are framed for it, so they're on the run trying to clear the name and solve the mystery of who killed Batman. It's pretty straightforward, and it's also pretty quickly revealed that it was the Court of Owls, which is Court of Owls was also involved in Batman's death in the video game, and Court of Owls, it's not that surprising. That's what they went with. It makes sense. And they said there wasn't a lot more twists and turns in that. As far as the main plot, character stuff. I thought Turner was about the most generic character they ever came up with. He's supposed to be the adopted son of Batman. And right off the bat, people are going to be upset that it's not Robin, it's not any of the Dick Grayson, who I believe at least some of these kids were adopted by Batman in the comics at some point. They didn't go with Batman's son from the comics, who was also Robin. It's just, like I said, there were so many possibilities where they could have had a strong lead, and they just made up a character from scratch. He's just this generic, rich white boy that had this awesome, healthy relationship with Bruce Wayne that we never get to see. It's just, we have to take people's word for it that they're this loving father-son duo. And he never knew Bruce was even Batman. Apparently there was some well-adjusted Bruce Wayne out there that we never got to see that was killed before the show even started. And like I said, the character's generic. Occasionally he would flirt with letting his dark side out a little bit. So it was a difficult balancing act for him trying to be like another Batman and him kind of being a bit of a rule breaker. I don't think they ever found the happy middle, but I did like the end where season finale, he finds out that his parents were actually assassins that were trying to kill Batman, and now the guy who trained him, Henry Ducard, who not only trained his parents but trained Batman at some point, wants to train him. So I think his character had the most potential going forward if they would have continued on, but for most of the season, he was just kind of, okay, whatever. As far as Stephanie Brown, she didn't do much for me. She was super smart. They're trying to get into the spoiler thing, the character, not spoilers. But just, I don't know, I just felt like she was way too far away from being there. She, somehow late in the season, she finally learned how to fight, and then all of a sudden she was super good at it by the final couple episodes. But for most part, she wasn't really with the team when they did stuff, and when she was just kind of standing around. Thought her hacking skills and all that stuff was just a little too unbelievable. This chick's smarter than just about everybody in Gotham, basically. Her dad was a clue master, but in this version, he's a game show host, not like a Riddler wannabe, which was fine. If they were doing another season, I would love to see him try to get revenge or whatever. As far as Harper Row, again, they just went with that tough runaway girl that, like, takes no shit and just, like, I don't know, the tough exterior, and she just seemed pretty cliche. I know in the book she eventually becomes Bluebird. They really started leaning more and more to, like, her intelligence. I thought it was, I don't know, I didn't think it really worked at first that her and Spoiler were both super geniuses. I think it panned out better in the end when they kind of, like, end up making them a couple. But again, like, both these girls are smarter than pretty much everybody in Gotham. Cullen, he didn't have a ton to do, like, storyline wise. He didn't have much of an arc. He did get some fun moments. I did kind of like the recurring thing of him becoming, like, this rookie cop disguised. And I thought that was kind of a nice little touch. But he didn't get a lot to do besides that. Duella, she felt so much just like a wannabe Alice from Batwoman, like, especially in the earlier episodes, and just trying to be goofy and trying to be over the top and trying to be like, ooh, I'm a badass. I think once she let her guard down and kind of started, hooking up with Turner, I thought she started getting a little bit more, likable. I did like that her edge kind of helped the team out because she was willing to cross some dot lines that they wouldn't, and as long as she didn't go too far, which she almost did a couple times. I mean, she kind of crossed the line when she left with her mom and she shot Harvey Dent. Didn't know how they were going to work her back into the team, but I think they did. And I think it really especially worked that, they thought Turner was dead, so it's like, we're going to stick together and continue what he wanted to do and be like heroes. So I thought her character actually ended up at a pretty strong place. I also liked that initially we were told she was the Joker's daughter, and then it was revealed that she was Two-Face's daughter. Because from what I understand of the character in the comics, she's basically claimed that almost every major bad guy as her dad in the comic books. So it's always going back and forth. The book she was known as, primarily known as Duella Dent, but she was often calling herself Joker's daughter. So again, I think it worked for the character. And I think they streamlined it a tiny bit, but that worked. As far as the Carrie Kelly Robin, she's not quite a fan favorite for the books, especially because she kind of didn't necessarily exist. She was from a possible future. Her claim to fame in the show was she was basically like, their legitimate superhero that was helping them out. She was trained by Batman. She had the gadget. She had the tech and the skills. So I thought that was a nice, having like a actual superhero on there helping them out in the beginning was a really cool twist. But as everybody started leveling up and starting to learn how to fight and getting like their own weapons, she really kind of became like redundant. Like there was almost nothing special about her at that point. I mean, they did kind of flesh her out with her home life. I liked the actress that played her mom. I thought she was like pretty strong in the role, but it just didn't really like add that much to the show or that much to her character. It just reminded me a little bit of some of the stuff they were doing in the Stargirl with like Beth's parents kind of being a little bit of wet blankets for her. That's about it for the kids. I mean, there was other people that were involved, but like Brody, but I think he was so far in the background to the end, it's like irrelevant. The biggest A-lister on the show, if you want to call him that, would be Two-Face, or he's basically Harvey Dent most of the time. He was fine. I mean, he just kind of came off as, he didn't feel so much like a DA. He felt like more like a detective. Like felt like he was more doing like police work half the time than being the district attorney. He was fine for what it was. They got into this. He had a lot of baggage in his backstory, and he was hooking up with the one guy's wife at some point, and you find out his dad had DID, and then he had it, and then it was a lot going on. He played it well. Wasn't as impressed when we got to see his alternate ego pop up. I kind of wish he would have actually called himself like Big Bad Harv or something to kind of differentiate, being from the regular Harvey Dent. Especially when they had the episode where he like was interacting with him like in his mind. And they had this big fight scene. You couldn't tell who was who. I think they should at least maybe they made a suit like a different color, maybe a little hint of purple that just kind of get that comic booky, Harvey Dent Two-Face thing going. I was glad that they did turn him to Two-Face in the end. Makeup looked kind of odd. Like I guess a lot of it was practical with a little bit of CG, but just looked a little awkward. But we really don't see it that much. But, at least, like I said, he's Two-Face in the end. I don't know where they go with it, because now his split personality was in full control. I don't know how that jives with the comic book so much. I guess that's about right, that the Big Bad Harv is kind of in control most of the time. think that covers most of the characters. Then you had the Court of Owls. The problem with them was that there was no face to the group for the longest time. I think yeah, like Talon would pop up and try to like cause some trouble, but he didn't even talk. He was like a Mike Myers, Jason Voorhees kind of a deal, which I think also hurt the show. I would have liked to seen, more nimble assassin kind of Talon showing up, liven the fight scenes up some more, because the action scenes were never that great. They were just okay for the most part. But it took a while before we started seeing some actual Court of Owls members. Wasn't surprised to see that Lincoln March was one of them. I thought he has some charisma, so I kind of liked seeing him as a leader. They did the twist where it turns out actually his wife was the real leader, which I call bullshit on that twist. Just the way she was acting when no one else was around, just because of the audience, and she looked like she was legitimately afraid of her husband, and like she had there's no way to she's the leader, and yet apparently she was when she gets to boss her husband around, and she just apparently acts scared when no one's around just for the hell of it. I thought the twist worked better that she turned out to be like the Dr. Leviticus that was like around for centuries. It didn't feel like they could have did a little bit more with it. I think it's because the reveal was so late in the season. But I thought it was a pretty cool twist overall. Didn't understand why she spent a century trying to get more of this Electrum so that she can, so the Court of Owls could take over, and then they really didn't explain why she just had them all killed off and she just, was on her own. Like they try to say, oh, she's got to wipe the slate clean and disappear, but she's been working with these guys for centuries. I don't know why now she's got to suddenly ditch them. It just wasn't really well explained. And I think that's about it. They said there was not much action. The kids solved the mysteries a little too easy. Like I said, they're just too smart sometimes, and the Batman couldn't stop the Court of Owls, and like these high school kids, were able to basically stop them. And it kind of pushed the believability factor a little bit. I think it did help that most of them were taken out on their own, so you were only down to like a couple people in the end, so there really wasn't this massive behind-the-scenes group running Gotham anymore. But I don't know. I think that's the gist of what I gotta say about the show. Like I said, it started off pretty weak, and it kind of grew on me. I didn't really care for any of the characters. If any of them would have got killed off in like the first couple episodes, I wouldn't have cared whatsoever. Maybe Kiri Kelly just because she was the only legit superhero. But as they went on, I kind of started liking the characters, and I kind of wanted to see where they went, from here. But I'm not that heartbroken that it's gone. But it is what it is. I think I'll go through my notes, see if there's anything on there that I feel like mentioning. So the show just starts off going like 100 miles per hour. Like everything's happening so fast. The break-in in Wayne Tower, the Turner getting arrested. Everything just happens so fast. You got no time to learn about these pretty much brand new characters. Like I said, Turner was created for the show. Everybody else you're trying to figure out, and there's this new reality, this new DC universe, so you don't know anything about this version of these characters. Like, is there a Robin besides Kiri Kelly? We never really find out. We do find out the Joker's dead in this world. The Batman had killed him at some point. In this world, Batman never fights Two-Face because Harvey Dent doesn't become Two-Face till after Batman's dead. I said we just don't know anything about these characters or the world they inhabit, and they throw so much at you in that first episode that it's like, what the hell is going on? Then they had the scene with the Talons after Duella. She's in the burning car, which I don't know if a car has ever burned that slow before. And it's like, she tries to get the handle, it's too hot. It seems like, I don't know, you could have maybe grabbed a shirt or something to open the handle up, but whatever. Overall, I don't know, I thought the humor was kind of flat. Another thing the show does, it was a CW show, so it was a lot of relationship drama. People would be in the middle of like a life and death situation. They got to talk about their feelings and where the relationship's going from here. Just it always bugs me because it's like, all right, we might die, but we got to talk about our personal issues right now. One thing I don't know if I felt that we found it pretty early on that Cressida was part of the Court of Owls, which is fine, but there was a moment where Turner's alone with her because he thinks she's going to help him, and then everyone else finds out, like, oh shit, that she's actually with the Court of Owls. I think that, I don't know, I think I was kind of think that would work better if that was a reveal. Like, okay, he finally gets to this one person that could help him, and we all suddenly find out she's, like, dirty. But it's fine, I guess. I think it would have worked better my way, but what do I know? I kept thinking Dent's relationship with Mrs. Marsh was kind of like, what the hell is, like, what are we going here? This seemed like some soap opera bullshit. This seemed like the show didn't need it, but later on when they revealed like all this backstory stuff with her, it worked out. So, but at first I'm like, why do we keep seeing this? Like, it's drama, soap opera drama. Still thought it was weird that like how often they were able to come and go in this like the tower of the school, and like nobody ever like caught on the whole time. Even when one spoiler was up there and she had to pretend she was just up there smoking weed so the other kids could hide. Like nobody said, yeah, we better lock down extra this little, you know, tower in the school because kids are smoking pot up there. I don't know. And it's kind of weird that went from just laying low and like defending themselves when they need to like, you know, let's go take out these drug dealers and like, you know, be like superheroes. I said, just felt like at that point it was a little bit of a stretch from where they went at that point. Once they kind of started becoming like the Gotham Knights, I kind of thought it was a decent concept. I actually kind of wish we would have seen a little bit more of them doing like heroic stuff while trying to clear their names. Didn't fall for Lincoln dying. I was like, all right, they did that. He's gonna be fine because he's like, I gotta figure he's like one of the main talons or main core of all guys. I was really assuming that, you know, the substance they were looking for immortality was something to do with the Lazarus pit. So I'm surprised they was like, no, it's some stuff called Electrum. I don't know, there was some kind of, it's a Batman universe. You might as well throw it in there. I don't know why they had to change it unless they wanted to get away from the fact that, you know, you had to go into the pit or whatever. Like they wanted something you could be like portable and like, oh, we just got to give you this stuff and you'll be cured. And even that was vague. It was like a indestructible like rock, but you could still kind of like melt it down and make like liquid out of it. I don't know, it was kind of weird. And then the big thing was apparently Bruce was when he died, he was gonna give away all his money, and that was evidently he had enough money like to get rid of all poverty in Gotham, so that's why they killed him. But like, if you didn't kill him, then he couldn't give away his money, like unless, you know, because he wouldn't die unless he was gonna donate it all. But this is like, all right, my will, everybody gets my money, so you kind of almost want to keep him alive. You know, give him Electrum, make Batman unkillable, and then like he can't die, and then Bruce Wayne can't give his money to the poor people. There's the new master plan for you guys. I did like the callback where Duella came in with the grenades with the pins, kind of like a, you know, nod to the Heath Ledger Joker, even though she turned out not to be Joker's daughter. Also, skipping ahead, I did like that there was explosive barrels tied to Harvey Dent becoming Two-Face, which is another, you know, Nolan Batman movie callback. At least that's what I took it as. I thought did get a little chuckle out of the sequence where after Duella and Turner hooked up, like he was pretty tight-lipped about what happened, and then she's spilling like every detail about it to her friends. I kind of like that they did hint towards maybe going with the Bluebird name, and then it got dropped. I would have liked, you know, at some point that to come back, especially when they were like leaning into being heroes at the end, but. Now, I kind of thought they were going to set up for like Brody to be like a new Talon, like this, especially after they killed him. Like, oh, maybe the parents are going to make him like a Talon since he's unkillable. And I thought that would have been interesting to have him taking, you know, his friends on, but that got dropped. Well, they didn't drop it. I had to drop it because I made it up. That was a weird convoluted thing where it's like they're almost out of the building and Turner has to run back to get these, you know, these diaries from Batman before the Wayne Tower blows up, and then he ends up ultimately getting saved by like, you know, the Ducard's people, and everyone else thinks he's dead. It was done just a little weird. I think they could have did it like a slightly better way, but you know, whatever. It was fine. It's like almost like should have been more like he tried to sacrifice himself to save his friends, and then he got saved at the last second, and then whatever. But I don't know. It wasn't that big of a deal. It worked for what it was. But I think that's it. Like I said, it was a pretty terrible concept. The execution wasn't there to start off with, but they actually did a really good job. I still don't think it justified creating a whole new Bat universe so that these, you know, they could basically have a world where Batman's dead. I mean, they barely were using the Arrowverse Batman. They could have, you know, killed him off. You know, unfortunately, then plus we hadn't seen him in years. So hey, you know what? He disappeared. He had this kid that he adopted, and then now he's dead. And then this is going on. I guess they don't want to rely on any of the other Bat team. You know, Batwoman showing up or anything. But I don't know. it is what it is. It's over. It's the last of it. Like I said, I got the pretty well spoiler-free version of this up. I got other reviews. I got my comic strip. Those are all at soundedbettermyhead.com. So thanks for watching.